Breaking news. At 0418 UTC this morning, instruments across 3 continents registered something no one was prepared to see. Deep in the outer reaches of our solar system, an interstellar object, already thought to be anomalous, changed its behavior in a way that defies every existing model. Telescopes that had been passively tracking 3I Atlas suddenly flagged a coordinated shift in motion, silent, precise, and mathematically exact. Today, the impossible just happened. Data streams lit up simultaneously at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, ESA's Operations Center in Darmstadt, and the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in northern Chile. Within minutes, internal alerts were triggered. This changes everything we thought we knew about objects entering our solar system from interstellar space. If you want real-time updates on cosmic discoveries like this, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and stay with us, because what we're about to uncover may redefine our place in the universe. By the time the first internal briefing convened, the room was already silent. Not because there was nothing to say, but because the numbers on the screen did not belong to any known natural process. 3I Atlas, first catalogued as an interstellar comet, was no longer behaving like one, and every institution that mattered was now watching. NASA confirmed the anomaly, using data from the Deep Space Network in Goldstone, Madrid, and Canberra. ESA cross-verified the measurements using its European Space Tracking Array. Harvard-Smithsonian astrophysicists were looped in within the hour. Caltech analysts pulled archived telemetry from Hubble, while the James Webb Space Telescope was retasked to observe in the near-infrared and mid-infrared bands. From Chile to Hawaii, from space-based observatories to radio dishes scanning the cold background of the cosmos, the conclusion was the same. The object designated 3I Atlas was exhibiting behavior that appeared deliberate. This was not a single faulty sensor. The detections came from optical, infrared, radio, and gravitational measurements, each confirming the others. The credibility was airtight. Before any speculation could begin, the science had already spoken. Something unprecedented was unfolding. 48 hours before the event, 3I Atlas was following a predictable outbound trajectory. Its velocity relative to the Sun measured approximately 58 kilometers per second, consistent with an interstellar object on a hyperbolic path. Its temperature profile hovered around 180 Kelvin, cold, inert, and comet-like. Spectral analysis showed faint traces of carbon monoxide and dust, nothing unusual. At that point, it was expected to pass through the outer solar system and disappear into interstellar darkness, never to be seen again. Then, 11 hours later, the first anomaly appeared. Telemetry from the Atacama Array detected a minute but statistically significant change in acceleration, not thrust, not an outgassing event. The acceleration vector was clean, aligned perfectly against its original trajectory. The magnitude was small, just 0.0003 meters per second squared, but it was continuous, sustained, controlled. No known natural mechanism could account for it. 6 hours after that, the object's spectral signature shifted. In the ultraviolet range, emissions appeared and vanished in repeating intervals every 37.2 seconds. The pattern was exact. No decay, no noise, just repetition. 3 hours later, infrared imaging from JWST revealed something else. The object's shape was changing, not fragmenting, not tumbling. It was reconfiguring, its light curve smoothing into a symmetry that astrophysicists normally associate with engineered objects, not natural bodies shaped by chaotic formation. I remember staring at the data feed as the realization set in. This was no longer a passive traveler. This was behavior. At T-0, the moment that triggered the global alert, 3I Atlas did something no interstellar object had ever done before. It slowed down, not gradually, as if interacting with a medium, but decisively. Its velocity dropped by nearly 12% over the span of 90 minutes. There was no debris cloud, no thermal spike, no explosion, just controlled deceleration in the vacuum of space. At that distance, roughly 11.6 astronomical units from the Sun, no solar wind interaction could produce such an effect. Gravitational modeling ruled out planetary influence. There was nothing there to slow it down, except itself.
Within minutes, radio observatories detected low-frequency emissions emanating from the object. They were faint, barely above background noise, but unmistakably structured. Pulse intervals followed a sequence: 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. Prime numbers. That was the moment the internal debate began. Dr. Elena Korsakov at Caltech led the first simulation sweep. Using high-resolution gravitational models and Monte Carlo analysis, her team attempted to reproduce the observed motion using exotic but still natural explanations: asymmetric outgassing, interaction with dark matter filaments, even hypothetical micro-black hole effects. None of the simulations matched the data. The symmetry was too perfect, the timing too exact. Across the Atlantic, Dr. Marcus Legrand at ESA proposed a more conservative explanation. He suggested that 3I Atlas could be a previously unknown class of interstellar object, one with layered internal structures capable of delayed energy release. A natural process, yes, but one we had never observed before. Meanwhile, another group quietly explored a different possibility. At Harvard, a closed-door session analyzed the pulse data independently. Their conclusion, leaked hours later, was cautious but chilling. The emissions showed characteristics of intentional signaling, not a message, but a system check, a beacon testing its environment. Two hypotheses now stood in opposition. The mainstream view argued that nature still had surprises left, that complex behavior did not automatically imply intelligence. After all, pulsars were once called cosmic lighthouses before their true nature was understood. Jumping to conclusions, they warned, would undermine scientific rigor. The alternative view was more unsettling, that what we were witnessing was not random at all, that the behavior of 3I Atlas suggested internal control, energy management, and adaptive response to its surroundings. The divide deepened when the second wave of anomalies began. Approximately 19 hours after the deceleration event, one segment of the object, previously identified as a dense core region, vanished. Not moved, not fragmented, vanished. Optical telescopes lost it first, then infrared, then radar. Finally, gravitational influence measurements dropped to 0. It was simply gone. At the same moment, the remaining mass realigned itself. Its long axis shifted by exactly 23.5 degrees, Earth's axial tilt, pointing not toward the Sun, but toward the inner solar system, toward us. This was no longer random. It was responding. NASA's internal channels went silent. ESA halted all public briefings. Encrypted communications spiked between space agencies and defense departments. No statements were made, but actions spoke louder. Observation priority levels were raised. Satellites were repositioned. Data access was restricted. Subtle effects began to ripple closer to home. 2 communication satellites experienced unexplained orientation errors. High-frequency radio operators reported brief blackouts at latitudes corresponding to geomagnetic sensitivity zones. In the southern hemisphere,
bird migration patterns showed sudden deviations, small but statistically significant. None of these effects were catastrophic, but together they formed a pattern. Inside mission control rooms, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Engineers spoke in hushed tones. Scientists double-checked calculations they had already verified a dozen times. Everyone understood the same thing, even if no one said it out loud. This was not just another object. As the data accumulated, I found myself thinking less about equations and more about context. For centuries, humanity has looked at the stars and asked whether we are alone. We imagined answers in the form of radio messages, flying saucers, dramatic arrivals. But what if the first sign was quieter? What if it didn't announce itself, but observed? 3I Atlas did not rush toward us. It did not flee. It stopped, as if waiting. Maybe we're not witnessing the end, but an invitation. Or maybe we're seeing the early stages of something we don't yet have the language to describe. Science demands caution, but it also demands honesty. And the honest truth is this: no known law of physics fully explains what we are seeing. In the coming days, more data will arrive, more analyses will be run, some explanations will fall apart, some others may hold. But one thing is already certain: the universe has just reminded us that it is under no obligation to be simple. As of this moment, 3I Atlas remains stationary relative to the solar system. Its emissions have ceased, its trajectory is unresolved, and its intentions, if that word even applies, are unknown. The final question lingers unanswered in every control room and research lab across the planet. What happens when it moves again?